Hello and welcome. Today we're talking about apps in education, specifically apps that lead your students to critical thinking and collaboration. I found a couple apps that I want to share with you. I'm going to try and move through them pretty quickly so as to not take up too much of your time. First up is Twitter. Twitter, for you that have older students, is something that they're probably already familiar with, but I'm not sure they're familiar with all the tools you can have for educational purposes. They're used to it just staying in contact with each other and things like that. But that could be a great way for them to collaborate is through Twitter. They can have their conversations going on, but if they use the correct hashtags, then they could also pull in other people to contribute to their conversation. So it's not just them. So it could be their peers that contribute to it. It could be other people who follow the hashtag or search the hashtag. It can also be a great way for your students to find content, depending upon who they follow. Quick search, they can find all kinds of stuff. I would suggest they follow some professionals and experts in the field that you're encouraging them to. For my purposes, I'd have them follow people within the government, whether it be our political leaders, people in the media, whatever it might be. So it's a great way for them to collaborate on things and pull in those outside sources also. Next up is Popplet. I'm using the demo version here, but Popplet is a sort of a discussion tool. It's a way for them to collaborate. You just double click on it and you have your screen pop up, and you can make it as big or as small as you want it to be. Oops. If I can figure it out. There we go. It allows you to type into it. There's my name. You can put the names up here also. It also allows you to draw within it. So if you would rather draw than talk, or if you're doing something like for economics, I know my students have to draw graphs, so I could have them draw their graphs to show me that they understand, and we can easily clear the drawing, and I can do a better graph. So, oops. So here's their graph, here's the demand graph, and they can label it and do all the kind of stuff that they need to do with it. Now, if we want to have some conversations also, we can click over here, and now here's a side conversation. I think this might also be good. You can upload files to this, so maybe you upload a file and have the kids discuss and branch and have ideas going on, so some collaboration and some critical thinking there. Next up is Padlet. And I like Padlet. I use Padlet a lot in my classes. I'm going to show you an example of something that I did a couple of weeks ago for the president. I have my students, we have to figure out what the formal qualifications are for the president, as you can see over here. So they came up with them and they typed it in, and here are the 3 formal qualifications. But there's unwritten qualifications, and so that's where they came in here and they started to come up with this list of things, and they were able to just type them in. So instead of in the past, I've had students just, hey, shout things out or raise your hand and I'll put them on the board. Instead, I shared this Padlet with them. They typed in their stuff and it showed up as we went. And then we were able to go back and talk about each one of these. And you can share this so easily with your students. Just click share and then share import. You got QR codes that you can use. You can print it out or you can put it on the board or whatever. You can copy the link and put it into your website, or you can send it out to them any number of ways. But Padlet's a great little tool, and it really gets discussion going, because a lot of times there's some students in your class that aren't going to talk. They don't want to talk in big groups, but they're willing to type these short little responses, and so it's a great way for them to get that going. Okay. Next up is Canva, and this is a good tool if you're trying to get your students to create something. And so got this going here. Let's say you want your students to create a poster of information. They have options over here to use as templates. So register to vote. That's something I've been going over, and they can make changes to it. As you can see, they can make changes to it if they click on it. They also have the elements that they can drag in over here. They can upload their own things and put whatever they want into it. So a great way for them to create something that you request. I'm going to have my students, I think, create an infographic coming up here as a project pretty soon using Canva. All right. Next up is AWE, and AWE is it's a whiteboard basically, where students can you can put stuff here and talk back and forth. You can draw once again. So going back to econ thing because it's so easy to do. And then you can ask them, hey, what's the center point here? And they can type in equilibrium or whatever you want to. It's a great way for the students to be able to talk and discuss without actually having to be in the same spot. So I think it's a great tool, especially for after school study sessions and things like that. You could do a lot of stuff with this. You can also, there's a talk option. Now I tried it just a minute ago, and it says, hey, I was by myself, so obviously I can't talk. But if you just click here, it gives you the option to talk to your other participants, and the invitations are here, and it's pretty simple. You click on it, and you can share the website, or you can send it out, or any number of ways. All right. Last up is Quizlet, and Quizlet is a way to help your students study. Now with Quizlet, you can create your own class. I haven't done so yet. I really like it for students more so than me. Students can create their own Quizlets and they can share it with each other as a way to study and prepare for tests or assignments or whatever it might be. It's just another tool for them to collaborate with, and it's more of a lot of times memorization sometimes with these types of things where they're studying for a test. But it's still something they can collaborate on as they create a Quizlet set and they share with each other. All right. Well, thank you for coming.